The sand is still wet from the morning executions. Valeria is 26 years old, and she can feel the dampness seeping through the thin linen shift they have dressed her in, can smell the copper iron stench of blood mixing with animal waste from the beast cages, can hear through the stone walls the roar of 50,000 voices that will soon be calling for her destruction. She was, until 11 days ago, the most powerful woman in Rome, who was not an empress, the favorite mistress of Emperor Domitian, keeper of his secrets, confidant of his fears, the woman who shared his bed on nights when his wife Domitia could not satisfy his particular appetites. Now she stands in a holding cell beneath the Flavian amphitheater, her hair shorn to stubble, her body stripped of the silks and jewels that had marked her status, waiting for the iron gate to rise and deliver her to an arena where 80,000 eyes will watch her die in ways that the crowd has been promised will exceed anything they have witnessed before. Through the bars, she can see other prisoners being prepared for the day's entertainment. Criminals, prisoners of war, slaves who had displeased their masters the usual supply of human fodder that Rome's appetite for spectacle consumed daily. But they are being prepared for ordinary deaths, quick deaths, the sword, or the beasts, or the flames that would end their suffering within minutes. Her death will not be quick. The Emperor has made this clear. A guard approaches the cell. He is perhaps 40 years old, his face bearing the weathered indifference of someone who has watched thousands of people die and has learned to see them as components of entertainment rather than human beings. He looks at her the way he would look at a prop being prepared for a theatrical production, assessing condition, confirming readiness, ensuring that the merchandise will perform as advertised. The Emperor sends a message, the guard says. He wants you to know that Marcus Aemilius died this morning. The senator. He was beheaded at dawn, in private, with a single stroke, a clean death, a merciful death. Marcus. The name strikes her like a physical blow. The man she had loved, or thought she loved, the man whose touch had made her forget for brief hours that she belonged to a monster. Dead now. Ended with a single stroke, while she remains alive to face something designed to be the opposite of mercy. The Emperor wants you to understand the comparison, the guard continues. Senator Aemilius received the death of a Roman nobleman because he was a Roman nobleman. You will receive the death of a faithless woman because that is what you are. His death lasted seconds. Yours will last hours. His body will be returned to his family for proper burial. Yours will be fed to the animals after the crowd has finished watching what they do to you. What they do to me, Valeria repeats. Tell me exactly. You don't know? The guard seems surprised. The Emperor has published the program. The entire city knows what is planned for you. I have been in a cell for 11 days. No one has told me anything. The guard's expression shifts slightly not to sympathy, but to something like professional interest. He has seen many condemned prisoners, but few have approached their fate with the calm she is displaying. First, you will be paraded through the arena, naked. The crowd will be permitted to throw things nothing that would kill you. The guards will ensure that. Rotted food, animal waste, whatever they have brought. This is the humiliation phase. And then you will be given to the bestiari, not the professional beast fighters, the men who handle the animals, who train them. They have been instructed to entertain the crowd before the next phase begins. The Emperor has specified that this entertainment should last at least 1 hour. Valeria feels her stomach revolt, but she keeps her face neutral. She has spent 3 years in Domitian's court. She knows how to hide what she feels. And the finale? The bull. The guard's voice carries a weight that suggests even he finds this excessive. You have heard of the reenactments, the mythological scenes. Pasifia. Yes. The Emperor is fond of recreating myths for the arena. He has specified that you will play Pasiphae. A special apparatus has been constructed. The bull has been selected, one of the largest from the Spanish provinces, specially trained for. He pauses. For this purpose. The word settles into the cell like something physical. Purpose. As if what is being planned for her is purposeful rather than monstrous. How long? She asks. The entire spectacle? The Emperor has allocated the afternoon, from the 6th hour until sunset. Perhaps 5 hours in total, depending on how long you survive the finale. 5 hours. She has 5 hours of remaining existence, and most of those hours will be spent in agonies, designed to entertain a crowd of 50,000 and to demonstrate what happens to women who betray the Emperor's trust. But she also has something that the Guard does not know about, something that Domitian does not know she possesses. Information. 3 years as the Emperor's mistress has given her access to secrets that powerful men would pay fortunes to possess or suppress. She knows about the conspiracies Domitian fears, the senators he suspects, the evidence he has gathered against men whose families could destroy him if they knew what he planned. She knows about the financial arrangements that fund his building projects, the bribes that secure his general's loyalty, the blackmail that keeps his enemies silent. She knows things that could shake the foundations of the imperial system. And she has been thinking, during 11 days of isolation, about how to use what she knows. What you are about to learn has been deliberately excluded from the histories that celebrate Roman entertainment as sophisticated spectacle. The poets who praised the Flavian amphitheater as an architectural marvel chose not to describe in detail what happened on its sands. The historians who documented the games mentioned executions and beast fights in general terms, avoiding the specific methods that made Roman crowds roar with approval. Tonight, you will learn what actually happened in Rome's most famous arena. You will learn about the punishments reserved for women who offended the powerful, the spectacles designed specifically to degrade and destroy female bodies in ways that male executions never matched. You will learn about the mythological reenactments that used condemned prisoners as unwilling actors in scenes of bestial horror. You will learn about the apparatus constructed for these reenactments, the devices that positioned women for encounters with animals that no human being should experience. You will learn about the crowds who watched, the emperors who commissioned, the entire industry of degradation that made Rome's arena entertainment the most sophisticated system of public cruelty the world had ever seen. You will learn about Valeria, whose affair with Senator Marcus Aemilius was discovered by an emperor already paranoid about conspiracies against him. You will learn what Domitian planned for her, what she knew that he did not realize she knew, and how the spectacle that was meant to destroy her became something else entirely. Subscribe if you want to understand the full horror of Roman entertainment. Comment below telling me where you are watching from, because the Colosseum was not merely a place where gladiators fought. It was a machine for public cruelty that refined torture into art form, and Valeria is about to be fed into that machine. But before I tell you what happened in the arena that day, I need to take you back. I need to explain how Roman spectacles functioned, why they took the forms they did, and what made the punishment of unfaithful women a particular specialty of imperial entertainment. Because you cannot understand what Valeria faced without understanding the system that produced her fate. The Roman arena was not designed for simple execution. It was designed for spectacle, and spectacle required narrative, drama, emotional engagement that transformed killing into entertainment. This principle shaped every aspect of arena programming. Gladiatorial combat provided narrative through suspense. Would the favorite win? Would the underdog survive? Beast hunts provided narrative through danger. Would the hunters prevail against exotic animals from the edges of the known world? Executions of criminals provided narrative through justice. The condemned were receiving what they deserved, and the crowd was participating in the righteous destruction of those who had violated society's rules. But executions posed a particular challenge. A simple beheading or crucifixion provided limited entertainment value. The condemned died, the crowd cheered, the spectacle was over within minutes. To extend the entertainment, to make executions worthy of the elaborate venues that housed them, Roman producers developed increasingly sophisticated methods of prolonged killing. Mythological reenactments became the pinnacle of this development. Rather than simply executing prisoners, producers staged scenes from myths and legends, casting the condemned as characters whose fates were already written. A condemned man might be dressed as Orpheus and torn apart by bears, playing out the god's destruction at the hands of the Maenads. A condemned woman might be cast as Dirce, tied to a bull and dragged to death in recreation of the punishment inflicted on that mythological queen. These reenactments served multiple purposes. They provided narrative structure, the crowd knew the story and anticipated its conclusion. They provided cultural legitimation, the executions became performances of shared mythology rather than mere violence. And they provided creative opportunities for producers who competed to stage increasingly elaborate and disturbing versions of familiar tales. The punishment of women through mythological reenactment had its own particular tradition. Women's bodies were considered appropriate for different kinds of spectacle than men's bodies. Where men might be armed and permitted to fight, maintaining some dignity even in death, women were typically rendered helpless, their vulnerability, the central entertainment rather than any resistance they might offer. The Pasiphae myth was among the most frequently reenacted because it combined multiple elements that Roman crowds found entertaining. Sexual degradation, the queen's union with the bull, was explicitly erotic in nature. Bestiality, the involvement of an animal added shock value that purely human spectacles could not match. And lengthy suffering, unlike a quick death by sword or beast, the Pasiphae reenactment could be prolonged. The condemned woman's ordeal extended for the crowd's entertainment. The apparatus used for these reenactments was called the wooden cow. It was a hollow framework